There are moments in life when people believe they know exactly what they want. They pray for it, strive for it, and shape their dreams around it. But when obstacles arise or doors remain closed, frustration sets in. Doubt creeps into the mind. Questions begin to surface, and the silence feels unbearable. What if the delay isn't a denial? What if the unanswered prayer is actually an invitation to something greater? The desires of the heart are not just measured by the words spoken, but by the patience, trust, and choices made when things don't go as planned. When people look at one another, they often judge based on what they see. They notice how someone speaks, how they dress, how they carry themselves. They make assumptions about a person's character based on actions, words, and even expressions. It is human nature to evaluate others based on outward appearances, because that is what the eyes can perceive. But there is one who does not look at people the way the world does. God does not merely see what is on the surface. He looks much deeper. He sees beyond the words spoken, beyond the deeds performed, beyond the image that is projected to the world. He sees into the depths of the heart. People may say one thing but mean another. They may present themselves as kind, generous, or faithful, but inwardly their motives may be entirely different. A person can do a good deed for selfish reasons, hoping to gain recognition or favor. They may offer a helping hand not out of love, but out of a desire to be seen as righteous. The human heart is complex, capable of holding both light and darkness, sincerity and deception, love and selfishness, all at once. People may be able to fool others for a time, but no one can deceive God. God knows the real intentions behind every action. He is not impressed by grand displays of generosity if they are done for show. He does not count empty words as meaningful if they are spoken without truth behind them. The way people evaluate goodness is not the same as the way God does. Many think that as long as they do the right things outwardly, they are on the right path. They focus on behaving well in front of others, making sure their image remains intact, and keeping up appearances. But God is not measuring righteousness by outward conduct alone. He looks at what drives a person from within. There are those who may not appear particularly remarkable in the eyes of the world. They may not be known for extravagant acts of charity, eloquent prayers, or visible devotion. Yet in their hearts, they carry love, humility, and a sincere desire to do what is right. Their goodness is not a performance, but a natural outflow of who they are inside. Even if they are unnoticed by people, they are seen and known by God. He recognizes the quiet prayers, the unseen sacrifices, the struggles that no one else understands. He values the heart that is pure more than the image that is polished. On the other hand, there are those who seek to impress the world with their devotion, making sure they are noticed when they give, pray, or serve. They may say all the right things, appear pious, and present themselves as righteous, but their hearts may be far from sincerity. They may be more concerned with the approval of people than with a true connection with God. To others they may appear deeply spiritual, but God sees beyond the performance. He knows when actions are done for love, and when they are done for recognition. He knows when words are spoken from the heart, and when they are spoken for praise. God's understanding of a person's true desires goes beyond what even the individual may fully realize about themselves. People are not always aware of their own motivations. Sometimes they believe they are acting for the right reasons when in reality, selfishness or pride is hidden beneath their good intentions. The heart can be deceptive, even to its own owner, but God is never deceived. He discerns every motive, every hidden desire, and every secret longing. When someone prays, God is not simply hearing the words that are spoken. He is listening to the heart behind those words. Two people may say the same prayer, but what is happening within them can be completely different. One may ask for blessings because they desire to serve and honor God, while another may ask for the same blessings out of a desire for personal gain. The words may be identical, but the heart reveals the difference. God does not just hear the request, He perceives why it is being made. Even in everyday life, this truth is evident. A person may offer a kind word, but if it is said without sincerity, it does not hold the same weight as when it is spoken with true love. A gift given begrudgingly is not the same as a gift given with joy. An apology offered without true regret does not bring healing like one that is spoken from the heart. The difference may not always be obvious to people, but it is always clear to God. People often judge quickly and make assumptions about others based on what they see. Someone who is successful may be assumed to be favored by God, while someone struggling may be judged as having done something wrong. But God does not evaluate worth based on outward circumstances. He sees the rich person whose heart is empty and the poor person whose soul is full of faith. He sees the respected leader who is burdened by pride and the unnoticed servant whose heart is pure. The standards of the world do not apply to the way God sees. This is both a comfort and a challenge. It is comforting because it means that even when others misunderstand, misjudge, or overlook, God knows the truth. He sees the struggles no one else sees. He understands the battles fought in silence, the tears shed in secret, and the efforts made with no expectation of recognition. He does not measure by appearance, but by what is real. At the same time, this truth is also a challenge, because it means that no one can hide from Him. No matter how well someone may pretend, no matter how carefully they construct an image, God sees past it all. He is not impressed by empty words or outward acts done for show. He is not fooled by performances. He is not looking for religious habits, but for true devotion. Many people go through life trying to prove themselves to others. They work hard to be seen as good, as successful, as worthy. They put on a mask, hoping to be accepted and approved. But the approval of people is fleeting. The world's praise comes and goes. What truly matters is what is seen by the one who knows all. When God looks at a person, He is not measuring their worth based on their achievements, reputation, or public image. He is searching for something deeper. He is looking for a heart that is honest, for desires that are sincere, for a soul that truly seeks Him. That is what matters to Him, and that is what He values above all else. When people approach God in prayer, they often bring their desires, hopes, and requests, expecting an answer. Many believe that if they simply ask, they should receive, as if prayer is a transaction where words automatically produce results. However, the truth is that God is not moved by words alone. He is moved by the sincerity of the heart behind them. A person can say the right things, recite well-crafted prayers, and speak eloquently about faith, yet if the heart is not aligned with truth and purity, those words are empty. God does not merely listen to what is spoken. He perceives the condition of the heart that speaks them. Some people pray with an outward display of devotion, carefully choosing words that sound righteous or impressive. They may want to appear faithful to others, or even convince themselves that they are seeking God's will, but deep down, their motives may not be what they seem. A prayer for success may be rooted in pride, rather than a genuine desire to serve. A request for healing may be driven by fear rather than trust. Even an offering of gratitude may be spoken out of habit rather than true thankfulness. God sees beyond all of this. He discerns when a prayer is spoken from a place of love and faith, and when it is spoken with selfishness or doubt hidden beneath it. There are those who ask for blessings not because they desire to glorify God, but because they wish to elevate themselves. They may seek wealth, power, or influence under the pretense of wanting to do good, but in reality, their hearts long for recognition, status, or comfort. They may pray for opportunities, not to serve others, but to fulfill personal ambitions. To those around them, they may seem devout, faithful, and committed. But God knows when a person's desires are centered on themselves, rather than on Him. No amount of outward piety can disguise a heart that is driven by pride. Sincerity in prayer and in one's desires is not about speaking perfect words or demonstrating religious devotion. It is about having a heart that genuinely seeks what is right. A simple, humble request spoken with true faith carries more weight than 1,000 well-phrased prayers spoken without sincerity. A single moment of honest confession means more than repeated declarations of righteousness. God is not impressed by grand expressions. He values authenticity. People may wonder why some prayers go unanswered, despite being spoken with passion and persistence. Often the reason lies not in the words but in the motives behind them. A person may ask for something repeatedly, believing that their persistence should be rewarded. But if their heart is not in the right place, the request remains unanswered. It is not because God is unwilling to give, but because He sees what the person may not even recognize in themselves. A desire that seems good on the surface may be tainted by selfishness, greed, or a lack of trust. God in His wisdom does not grant what would ultimately lead a person away from Him, or harm them, in ways they do not yet understand. True sincerity requires self-examination. It demands a willingness to ask difficult questions. Why do I really want this? Am I asking for this out of love or out of personal gain? Would I still seek this if no one else knew about it? Am I willing to accept God's answer, even if it is not what I want? These are not easy questions to face, because they strip away excuses and force a person to confront their true intentions. But without this honesty, one's prayers and desires remain shallow, disconnected from the deeper truth that God sees. It is easy to fall into the habit of asking for things without truly considering their purpose. People may pray for success without asking themselves if they are prepared for the responsibility it brings. They may ask for relationships without considering whether they are truly ready to love selflessly. They may seek comfort without realizing that growth often comes through struggle. When a heart is sincere, it does not simply ask for what seems desirable. It seeks what is truly good, even if it is difficult. A sincere heart does not demand but trusts. It does not try to manipulate circumstances to fit its desires, but surrenders to what is right. A person who is truly sincere before God does not only pray for their own needs, but also for the needs of others. They do not only seek blessings for themselves, but look for ways to be a blessing. Their prayers are not about trying to convince God to fulfill their wishes, but about aligning their hearts with His greater purpose. Even when struggles arise, and prayers seem to go unanswered, a sincere heart remains steadfast. It does not turn away when the answer is not immediate. It does not become bitter when things do not go as expected. Instead, it trusts that God sees what is best, even when human understanding is limited. It continues to seek, not for personal gain, but out of love and faith. Many times, people want things that they are not yet ready for. They ask for doors to open without preparing themselves for what lies beyond them. They desire positions of influence without cultivating the character to handle them wisely. They seek relationships without first learning to love unselfishly. God in His wisdom does not grant requests based solely on words. He considers whether the heart is prepared to receive what is asked for. A sincere heart does not only seek blessings, it seeks to be transformed into someone who can handle those blessings with integrity. True sincerity also means being open to correction. A person who is honest with God does not only present their desires, but also asks for guidance. They are willing to be shown when their motives are wrong. They are open to being shaped and refined. They do not resist when God redirects them towards something better, even if it is different from what they initially wanted. Their greatest desire is not just to receive but to grow in faith and love. There are moments when the desires of the heart are met with silence, when prayers seem to go unanswered, and doubts begin to creep in. In those moments, a sincere heart does not give up. It continues to seek, not because it is demanding an answer, but because it trusts that God's timing is perfect. It recognizes that sometimes, waiting is part of the process of growth. It understands that just as a seed does not sprout the moment it is planted, desires take time to unfold in the way they are meant to. The difference between an insincere request and a sincere one is not always obvious to the person making it. It is easy to believe that a desire is pure when it is actually influenced by hidden motives. That is why a heart that truly seeks God is always willing to be examined. It does not resist when God reveals what needs to change. It does not justify selfishness or ignore conviction. Instead, it embraces the process of refining, knowing that through it, true fulfillment is found. A sincere heart is not one that never struggles, but one that remains honest in its struggles. It does not pretend to have perfect faith, but acknowledges its doubts while still choosing to trust. It does not only seek God when things are easy, but remains faithful even in uncertainty. It does not approach God with demands, but with a willingness to listen, learn, and grow. God sees beyond words, beyond appearances, beyond even what a person understands about themselves. He is not looking for perfection, but for honesty. He is not measuring devotion by outward acts, but by the truth of the heart. A prayer spoken from a place of true sincerity, even if it is simple, even if it is whispered through tears, holds more power than 1,000 words spoken without genuine faith. When people walk closely with God, something begins to change deep within them. The desires that once consumed them start to shift. What once seemed important begins to fade, and a new kind of longing takes root in their hearts. This transformation is not forced or artificial. It is not about following a set of rules or simply trying to be a better person. It is a natural process that happens when a person surrenders their will to God and seeks to live in alignment with Him. Over time, their desires become less about personal gain and more about what is truly good, meaningful, and lasting. Many people spend their lives chasing things that they believe will bring happiness. Some pursue wealth, thinking that financial security will give them peace. Others seek power, believing that influence and control will provide fulfillment. Some chase after relationships, hoping that love and acceptance from others will complete them. While these things are not necessarily wrong, they often fail to satisfy the deeper needs of the soul. People achieve success only to find that it does not bring lasting joy. They gain recognition but still feel empty. They acquire everything they thought they wanted, yet something is still missing. This is because human desires, when shaped by the world, are often directed toward things that are temporary rather than eternal. When a person draws closer to God, their perspective begins to change. They start to see beyond the surface and recognize that what they once longed for may not have been what they truly needed. The things that once seemed so urgent and important lose their grip. Instead of chasing after temporary pleasures, they begin to desire things that have real, lasting value. The need for wealth is replaced by a desire to be generous. The longing for power is transformed into a desire to serve. The pursuit of recognition gives way to a longing for deeper connection and purpose. These changes do not come from external pressure, but from an internal shift that happens as a person allows God to shape their heart. This process does not happen overnight. It is not a sudden, dramatic transformation, but a gradual reorientation of the heart. At first, a person may struggle with conflicting desires. They may still feel drawn to the things they once wanted, even as they begin to recognize that those things will not bring true fulfillment. They may feel torn between their old way of thinking and the new understanding that is beginning to take root. But as they continue to seek God, their desires slowly begin to align with His. The things they once held on to so tightly no longer seem as important. The things they once ignored or took for granted begin to matter more. Some people resist this change because they fear losing control. They worry that if they surrender their desires to God, they will be left with nothing. They are afraid that giving up their personal ambitions means losing their identity. But the truth is that when a person allows God to shape their desires, they do not lose themselves. They become who they were truly meant to be. They are not left empty. They are filled with something far greater than what they had before. The desires they once clung to so desperately are replaced with something deeper, richer, and more fulfilling. This transformation is not about suppressing desires or pretending not to want anything. It is about discovering what is truly worth wanting. It is about realizing that the deepest needs of the soul cannot be satisfied by anything the world has to offer. When a person seeks God first, they begin to long for things that bring true peace, true joy, and true fulfillment. They stop chasing after things that leave them feeling empty and start pursuing things that bring real meaning and purpose. The more a person walks with God, the more they realize that their true desires were never about material wealth, status, or temporary pleasure. Those things may have seemed important at one time, but underneath them was always a deeper longing, one that could only be satisfied by something greater. People often mistake surface-level desires for the real thing. They think they want success when what they really want is security. They think they want attention when what they really want is love. They think they want power when what they really want is purpose. When they allow God to shape their desires, they begin to understand the difference. There are times when a person may still struggle with old desires. Even after experiencing this transformation, they may feel tempted to return to their former way of thinking. They may see others around them chasing after wealth, power, or recognition and wonder if they are missing out. In these moments, it is easy to feel doubt, to question whether the new desires that have taken root are truly enough. But as they continue to walk in alignment with God, they are reminded again and again that what they now long for is far more valuable than what they once pursued. The joy and peace that come from seeking what is truly good far outweigh the temporary satisfaction of chasing after lesser things. Some people experience this transformation without even realizing it at first. They may not notice the change happening within them until they look back and realize that what they once desired no longer holds the same power over them. They may find themselves no longer drawn to things that once consumed their thoughts. They may realize that their prayers have shifted from asking for personal gain to asking how they can be a blessing to others. They may notice that their actions are no longer driven by a need for approval, but by a genuine desire to do what is right. This kind of change is not something that can be forced. It is not something that happens by sheer willpower. It is a result of allowing God to work within the heart, reshaping desires from the inside out. There will always be moments of struggle, times when the old desires resurface, times when a person feels torn between what they once wanted and what they now know to be true. But as they continue to seek God, the pull of those old desires weakens. The things that once seemed so important begin to lose their hold, and the things that truly matter become clearer. The more a person aligns their heart with God, the more they find joy in things that bring lasting fulfillment rather than temporary satisfaction. This transformation is not just about changing what a person wants. It is about changing who they are. It is about becoming someone who is no longer driven by selfish ambition, but by love. Someone who no longer seeks personal gain, but seeks to serve. Someone who no longer chases after temporary pleasures, but finds joy in things that last. This is not something that can be achieved through sheer effort or determination. It is something that happens when a person surrenders their desires to God and allows Him to shape their heart. When a person reaches this place, they no longer feel the same restless longing that once drove them. They no longer feel the same need to prove themselves, to achieve, to acquire, to impress. Instead, they find a deep, abiding peace in knowing that their desires are aligned with something greater than themselves. They no longer feel empty, because they are filled with something real. They no longer feel lost because they have found what they were truly meant to seek. And in this place, they discover that their heart's true desires were never about the things of this world. They were always about something far greater. People often believe they know what is best for themselves. They set goals, chase dreams, and pursue what they think will bring happiness. They map out their lives, believing that if they work hard enough or make the right choices, they will achieve what they desire. Yet despite their best efforts, things do not always go as planned. Doors that seemed open suddenly close. Paths that once seemed promising lead to dead end. Even when people get what they want, they may find themselves feeling unfulfilled, as if something is still missing. God sees what people cannot. His understanding is not limited by time or human perspective. While people see only what is in front of them, He sees the full picture. What seems good in the moment may not be beneficial in the long run. What appears to be a setback may actually be protection from something unseen. There are times when people pray for things with all their heart, believing that if they receive them, they will be happy. They plead for a particular job, a specific relationship, or an opportunity they believe will change everything. Yet when it does not come to pass, they are left confused, frustrated, even heartbroken. In these moments, it is easy to feel abandoned, to wonder why their prayers were not answered, to question whether God is even listening. But what people often do not realize is that what they wanted so desperately may not have been for their good. Many people have experienced wanting something so badly that they were willing to do anything to get it. They ignored warning signs, dismissed wise counsel, and pushed forward with their own plans. Some got exactly what they asked for, only to realize too late that it was not what they expected. What seemed like a dream became a burden. What appeared to be a blessing turned out to be a trap. They found themselves struggling with the very thing they once longed for, realizing that their vision had been short-sighted. God in His wisdom does not always give people what they want. He allows things to happen, or not happen, according to a plan that is far greater than human understanding. There are times when people look back on their lives and thank God for unanswered prayers. They see that what they once begged for would have led them away from their purpose, from joy, from true peace. At the time it was painful, but with distance and perspective, they recognize that the denial was actually an act of love. People often mistake delay for denial. When something does not happen right away, they assume it never will. They become impatient, wondering why God is taking so long. But just because something has not happened yet, does not mean it will not happen. Timing is crucial. A fruit picked too early is bitter and unripe. A door opened too soon may lead to a situation a person is not ready for. Many people have stepped into things before they were prepared and struggled under the weight of them. They received what they wanted, but could not handle it. They were given an opportunity, but lacked the wisdom to manage it. Preparation is often necessary before a blessing can be received. People pray for influence, but may not yet have the character to wield it wisely. They ask for love, but may not yet know how to give it selflessly. They seek success but may not be ready for the responsibility it brings. If a child asks for a sharp knife, a loving parent does not give it to them simply because they want it. Not because they do not love the child, but because they do. What seems like withholding is actually protection. What seems like delay is often preparation. There are also times when what a person wants is not actually what they need. People often think they know what will make them happy, but happiness built on the wrong foundation does not last. Many have spent their lives chasing dreams that once achieved, left them feeling emptier than before. They believed that once they reached a certain status, achieved a particular goal, or acquired something they longed for, they would finally feel complete. But they got there, and realized it was not enough. It was like chasing the wind, grasping at something that slipped through their fingers the moment they thought they had caught it. True fulfillment does not come from having everything one desires. It comes from seeking what is truly valuable. Some of the happiest people are not those who have everything they ever wanted, but those who have learned to desire the right things. They have come to understand that their worth is not determined by their achievements, their possessions, or the approval of others. They have let go of their own narrow vision and trusted that there is a greater plan unfolding, even when they cannot see it. People often fight against this truth because they want control. They want to know what is coming next. They want certainty. They want guarantees. But life does not work that way. No one can see the future. No one can predict exactly where each path will lead. The only certainty is that things will not always go as planned. Yet those who trust that they are being guided, even in uncertainty, find a peace that goes beyond understanding. They stop striving, stop pushing, stop trying to force things that are not meant to be. They rest in the knowledge that what is meant for them will come in the right way, and at the right time. There are moments when what a person loses turns out to be a blessing in disguise. The relationship that ended may have been preventing them from growing. The job opportunity that was missed may have saved them from an environment that would have drained their soul. The door that closed may have been leading to a place they were never meant to go. These things are hard to see in the moment, but later, when they look back, they realize that what they thought was a loss was actually grace. Some lessons can only be learned through waiting. Patience refines character. It tests faith. It reveals what truly matters. When people do not get what they want, they are forced to examine their hearts. They have to ask themselves difficult questions. Asterisk. Why do I want this? Am I seeking something for my own gain? Or is it truly good? Would I still trust if I never received it? These questions strip away illusions and reveal what is at the core of a person's heart. Some discover that their desires were not as pure as they believed. Others find that they have been placing their hope in things that could never satisfy. Nothing is wasted in this process. Even the waiting, the disappointment, and the unanswered prayers serve a purpose. They shape a person, refine their character, and prepare them for what is truly meant for them. The things that once seemed so important may fade in significance, and what truly matters comes into focus. In time, they may receive what they asked for, or they may receive something far greater, something they never even knew to ask for. People often fear surrendering control because they do not want to lose what they desire, but what they do not realize is that letting go is not about loss. It is about gaining something better. It is about trusting that there is a plan beyond what they can see. It is about believing that they are being led toward what is truly good, even when the path is unclear. The desires of the heart are not ignored, but they are refined. They are not dismissed, but they are shaped into something more meaningful. And in the end, those who trust in this process find that they are not left empty-handed. They are given exactly what they need, exactly when they need it, in a way that is greater than anything they could have planned for themselves. Life often presents people with choices that reveal what is truly in their hearts. The things a person values most shape the way they make decisions, the priorities they set, and the way they interact with others. It is easy to claim to want what is good and right, but the real test comes when difficult choices must be made. A person's deepest desires are not always exposed in moments of comfort and ease, but in times of challenge, sacrifice, and uncertainty. There are times when a person is given an opportunity to pursue something they have long desired, but at a cost. It may require compromising values, neglecting important relationships, or sacrificing integrity. In these moments, the true nature of the heart is revealed. Some will hold firm to what is right, even if it means letting go of something they deeply wanted. Others will justify their choices, convincing themselves that the ends justify the means. What they do in these moments is a reflection of what they truly love, what they truly seek, and what they truly believe will bring fulfillment. The heart is not always honest with itself. It can be influenced by selfish ambition, fear, or pride. A person may believe they are pursuing something for good reasons, but beneath the surface, there may be hidden motives they do not fully recognize. Some may seek success, telling themselves they want to provide for others, when deep down, they crave recognition and validation. Others may claim to desire love, but in reality, they fear loneliness more than they long for true connection. Many pursue power, believing they will use it for good, only to find that the hunger for control grows stronger the more they obtain. It is easy to be deceived about one's own intentions, to believe that every desire is pure, that every ambition is noble. But when a person is willing to examine their heart honestly, they may discover truths they were not prepared to face. Times of testing often expose what a person truly treasures. When faced with a choice between personal gain and doing what is right, some will choose what benefits them most, while others will choose what is good, even if it costs them. When forced to wait for something they desperately want, some will grow bitter and impatient, while others will remain steadfast, trusting that what is meant for them will come in its proper time. When experiencing loss, some will become consumed by anger and resentment, while others will seek to find meaning, even in their pain. Each of these moments reveals something about the condition of the heart. The way a person treats others is another indicator of what lies within. Those who are consumed with their own desires often see people as obstacles or tools to get what they want. They form relationships based on what others can do for them, rather than out of genuine love and care. They may show kindness when it benefits them, but turn away when there is nothing to gain. On the other hand, those whose hearts are aligned with true goodness seek to love and serve others without expectation of reward. They do not withhold kindness based on what is convenient. They give, not because they expect something in return, but because they have learned that the greatest fulfillment comes from living with love and integrity. Words a person speaks often reflect what is in their heart. Words of encouragement, wisdom, and compassion flow from a heart that is full of love and truth. Words of bitterness, deceit, and cruelty come from a heart that is filled with anger, selfishness, or fear. A person may try to hide their true feelings for a time, but eventually their words will reveal what is inside. What a person speaks in moments of frustration, stress, or anger often provides a clearer picture of their heart than the words spoken when everything is going well. The choices a person makes in private, when no one is watching, are another way the heart's true desires are revealed. It is easy to act with integrity when others are paying attention, but what a person does in secret speaks louder than any public action. The decision to do what is right, even when there is no recognition or reward, shows the true nature of a person's character. In contrast, when someone lives one way in public and another in private, it reveals that their heart is not truly aligned with what they claim to value. It is also in moments of failure that the heart is revealed. When a person stumbles, they have a choice in how they respond. Some will make excuses, blame others, or try to hide their mistakes. They fear being seen as weak or imperfect, so they do whatever they can to protect their image. Others will acknowledge their shortcomings, seek to learn from them, and strive to do better. They recognize that failure is not the end, but an opportunity to grow. How a person responds to their own mistakes says much about the condition of their heart. The heart's desires are also revealed in what a person prioritizes. Time, energy, and resources are spent on what truly matters to them. A person may say they value family, but if they consistently choose work or personal ambition over time with loved ones, their actions speak louder than their words. Someone may claim to care about a cause, but if they never take action to support it, their true level of commitment is revealed. The things a person invests in are a direct reflection of what they consider important. At times, people experience unexpected hardship that shakes them to their core. A sudden loss, an unforeseen challenge, or a deep disappointment can bring hidden truths to the surface. Some will respond with bitterness, anger, or despair, while others will seek to find meaning and growth in their struggles. Hardship does not create the condition of the heart, it exposes what was already there. Those who have built their lives on shallow desires often find themselves lost when those things are taken away. Those who have rooted themselves in what is true and lasting find the strength to endure, even in difficulty. People may try to hide the true condition of their hearts, even from themselves. They may convince themselves that they are driven by noble intentions, that their motives are pure, that they are seeking what is right. But when tested by life's challenges, the truth always emerges. The way they respond to disappointment, temptation, and adversity reveals more than any words ever could. The choices they make when no one is watching, the way they treat others when there is nothing to gain, and the priorities they set with their time and resources, all paint a clear picture of what truly matters to them. Many spend their lives chasing after things they believe will bring happiness, only to discover too late that they were seeking the wrong things. They may achieve their goals, only to feel empty. They may accumulate wealth, power, or recognition, only to realize that these things do not satisfy the deepest longings of the heart. True fulfillment is not found in temporary success, but in aligning one's desires with what is good, pure, and lasting. The condition of the heart is not determined by outward achievements, but by what a person truly values, seeks, and pursues in their daily life. People often struggle to understand why certain prayers seem to go unanswered. They ask for guidance, for blessings, for opportunities, and when they do not receive them in the way they expect, they begin to question whether they are being heard at all. Some may grow frustrated, believing they have done everything right, followed all the right steps, yet the thing they long for still remains out of reach. It is in these moments of waiting and uncertainty that the heart is tested the most. It is in these seasons of silence that the true nature of faith is revealed. Many approach prayer as if it were a transaction. They believe that if they are faithful, if they do the right things, if they live according to the principles they have been taught, then their desires should be granted. When things do not happen the way they expect, they feel as if they have been overlooked. Some will even begin to believe that they must work harder, pray longer, or prove their worth in order to receive an answer. They see the delay as punishment rather than preparation, as rejection rather than redirection. A person's heart is not just revealed by what they ask for, but by how they respond when they do not receive it. Some become bitter, questioning whether they have been forgotten. Others try to take matters into their own hands, forcing doors open that were never meant to be opened. There are those who will abandon their faith altogether, believing that if their prayers are not answered in the way they desire, then there is no reason to trust at all. But there are also those who remain steadfast, even when they do not understand. They trust that even in the silence something greater is being worked out, something beyond what they can currently see or comprehend. Patience is one of the greatest tests of the heart. Waiting can feel like an endless trial, especially when a person has no assurance of when or if their desires will ever be fulfilled. It is easy to trust when things are going well, when doors are opening and paths are clear. But when everything seems uncertain, when prayers seem to go unanswered, that is when true character is revealed. Some will wait with resentment, feeling as if they are being denied something they deserve. Others will wait with hope, believing that what is meant for them will come in the right time and in the right way. It is often in the waiting that a person's motives are exposed. There are those who ask for things not out of true need or purpose, but out of selfish ambition. Some seek success, not to serve others, but to elevate themselves. Some desire love, not to give, but to receive. Some pray for opportunities, not because they are ready for them, but because they want to prove something to others. A delay in receiving what they ask for forces them to examine why they truly desire it. They must ask themselves whether their request comes from a place of wisdom or from a place of pride. Times of waiting are also times of refinement. Just as gold is purified through fire, a person's heart is shaped and strengthened through trials. There are things people think they are ready for, only to discover later that they were not prepared at all. Many have stepped into positions of influence before they had the maturity to handle it, only to be crushed under the weight of responsibility. Many have rushed into relationships before they understood the true meaning of love, only to experience heartbreak and disappointment. Many have pursued dreams before they developed the discipline and wisdom required to sustain them, only to find themselves overwhelmed. Delays are not always denials. Sometimes what seems like an unanswered prayer is actually a process of preparation. A person may be asking for something that is not yet meant for them. There may be lessons they still need to learn, character that still needs to be shaped, wisdom that still needs to be gained. Instead of seeing waiting as a burden, it can be seen as an opportunity to grow. It can be a time of strengthening, of deepening faith, of refining desires, so that when the time is right, they are truly ready to receive what they have been asking for. There are also times when what a person asks for is not truly good for them. People often believe they know what they need, but their vision is limited. They see only the present moment, while there is a greater picture beyond their understanding. What may seem like a perfect opportunity may actually lead to harm. What may appear to be a blessing may in reality be a burden. Many have received exactly what they wanted, only to find out later that it was not what they expected. They thought it would bring happiness, only to experience emptiness. They believed it would bring fulfillment, only to realize that it left them feeling more lost than before. A person's true heart is revealed not just in what they desire, in their willingness to surrender those desires when necessary. There are those who cling so tightly to their own plans that they refuse to consider the possibility that there may be something better. They fight against closed doors, refusing to accept that the path they are pursuing may not be the right one. But there are also those who have learned to trust even when they do not understand. They have learned that sometimes the greatest act of faith is letting go of their own plans and being open to something greater. When a person truly surrenders, it does not mean they give up on their desires. It means they place their trust in a plan beyond their own understanding. It means they continue to seek, to hope, and to work towards their dreams, but they do so with an open heart, willing to accept that what is best may not always align with what they initially thought they wanted. The way a person responds to life's uncertainties reveals the true condition of their heart. When faced with disappointment, some will turn away, believing that their unanswered prayers mean they are unloved or forgotten. Others will press forward, trusting that even in the silence, they are being guided towards something greater than they could have imagined. Those who understand this truth live with peace, not because they have everything they want, but because they know that what is truly meant for them will come in the right way, at the right time, and in a way that is beyond anything they could have planned for themselves. Every heart carries desires, some spoken aloud, and others hidden deep within. The true nature of these desires is revealed not just in what is asked for, but in how one responds when the answer is delayed, altered, or even denied. Life's challenges, disappointments, and waiting periods are not meaningless obstacles. They are opportunities for reflection, growth, and refinement. They uncover whether a heart is driven by self-interest or by a greater purpose, whether it clings stubbornly to its own plans or trusts that there is a path beyond what is currently seen. The way a person treats others, the priorities they set, the choices they make in private, and the words they speak all provide insight into what truly resides within them. Even when one believes they understand their own motives, trials often reveal hidden truths. It is not the easy moments of life that define a person, but the times when they are tested, when they must choose between integrity and compromise, patience and frustration, trust and doubt. The deepest fulfillment is not found in simply receiving everything that is desired, but in aligning the heart with what is truly good, lasting, and meaningful. Those who learn to trust through uncertainty, to remain steadfast in hardship, and to examine their own hearts with honesty, will find that the path set before them leads to something far greater than they could have imagined. When the heart is in the right place, every season, whether one of waiting, receiving, or letting go, becomes a step towards something higher, something greater, and something that truly satisfies the soul. What soul?